Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chris Bond. So, those of you who didn't pick up the early enlister version of Battlefield 1 are probably eager for the game to drop in a couple of days, so you can try out the Stellar multiplayer. But we're going to go over some of the vehicles that you'll be able to command when you hit the battlefield. The first up is the airplanes. There are three main ones that you can choose from: the attack plane, fighter, and the bomber. The attack and fighter planes are both very nimble and give pilot great control while in the sky. Now, of course, it does take a while to get used to the controls, but once you do, it's pretty easy to control these vehicles. The attack plane has two spots, one for the pilot and one for the gunner, while the fighter plane only has one spot. The third plane, which is the bomber, is the largest and slowest of the three, but it does offer three positions for players, and overall it can be much more damaging when used correctly. Planes are great for potentially giving a head start or controlling a point on the map, and if your aim is good enough, you can take out a few tanks by just dropping bombs as well. Next we have the torpedo boat, one of the available sea vehicles. The torpedo boat is a small 4-man boat that is pretty mobile and gives players good control on the sea. The attached torpedo launchers are great for doing damage to enemy sea craft. So if you're ever getting pummeled offshore, well, consider taking one of those out for a spin. Last up are the land vehicles, and arguably the most popular vehicles for most players. Land vehicles make up the largest number of available vehicles that you can man and can truly help turn the tides of battle. The armored cars and motorcycles are really great for getting to a location fast, but they do offer very little as far as protection from enemies. Now, the motorcycles don't offer any weapons mounted on the unit, but the armored cars do have machine guns up on top that have an armored layer of protection. However, an anti-armor grenade makes quick work of these vehicles. You also have the option to ride a horse around the battlefield as well, which can actually be pretty devastating if you're quick enough. The horses seem to have a ridiculous amount of health before they are bested and offer great mobility across terrain. It's pretty difficult to properly aim a gun on a horse, so I would suggest switching over to the sword, which makes quick and easy work of the targets. Now, if you really want to make a dent, I would suggest trying out one of the three tanks that are offered: the light tank, for instance, heavy tank, and of course, the land ship. All three pack a mean punch in the way of potential damage, but each have their individual strengths and weaknesses. For example, the light tank is going to give you more versatility on the field, but isn't as reinforced as a heavy tank. There are three versions of the light tank: the close support, flanker, and howitzer tank, which come with their own kits to help you strategize on how you want to approach the map you're on. The light tanks only offer one position for a player, so getting to know each light tank's kit is a must to ensure survival on the field. Now, the heavy tank is much slower than the light tank, but does offer 6 different open positions for players to man a gun. This helps to prevent potential flankers from dropping a tank grenade at the unit. The driver of the heavy tank also gets to use a standard cannon shot as well as a normal machine gun, but the tricky part is that you have to move the entire body of the tank to line up a shot rather than just a mounted cannon on a gun, so make sure you watch out for that. The heavy tank is great for taking a checkpoint hard and releasing a small army of players onto the field all at once. You can use this tank to help take back control of a checkpoint that just won't seem to tip in your favor. And finally, we have the land ship, which is somewhere between the light tank and the heavy tank. The land ship has a place for 3 players, with either side of the tank having the standard cannons and the driver of the tank having a machine gun, which helps with cranking out infantry in front of you. You can also drop medkits and ammo with the land ship, so it can really help a squad that is locked down and in need of crucial supplies. And last but not least, we have the behemoths. There are 3 different behemoths, and one will show up depending on the map that you're on. There are, of course, the Dreadnought, which is a huge battleship that pummels checkpoints from offshore. The Armored Train, which is a steam train that rides along the train tracks and devastates enemies along the way. And last, there's the Zeppelin, which features 6 pods for players to gun down enemies on the field, and the driver has the ability to drop bombs on forces below. Each spawn when one team is getting severely wrecked is to help even out the odds, but honestly, if you're going to go against one of these beasts, you're going to have a hard time either way. So now that you have some insight into some of the vehicles offered in Battlefield 1, you will be a little more prepared when the game drops later this week. You're watching Esports on PvP Live.